Just done a drive shaft assembly on a 2005 Corsa. It's done 103,000 miles. I noticed that there wasn't a lot of oil coming out when I removed the drive shaft, which normally you get a little bit, but decided to take the level plug out the side, and there was no level there, which made me concerned, so removed that. It's magnetised, and there was like a Christmas tree of swarf on the other side, so decided to take the sump off the transmission, see how much oil was there, see what was what. So if you go with a Payne's manual, you should have 1.6 litres gearbox oil. You see that focusing on there? Ended up with a litre of oil, pretty black, so obviously going to change that shortly. Sump pans come off the transmission, damaged the gasket, so I'm going to have to get another one of those. Got to keep you posted. Just filtered that oil just to see if there's any nasties in it. A few little bits and pieces, but nothing major. A few bits in the filter, in the bottom, but you'd expect a few bits of swarf, but as I say, doesn't look too bad. You got the plug there with a magnet in it. We'll just go and have an inspection of the actual transmission. So, doesn't look too bad, that's cleaned up alright. There's no obvious damage anyway. Cleaned up the face, ready for the new gasket. But as I say, it's done 103,000 miles, and the oil's probably never been changed on it. So just cleaned up that sump pan, just use a wallpaper scraper, just remove that paper gasket, come off quite easy. There you can see there's no scratches or damage to the surface of that. So back on the Corsa C transmission sump, just got some gasket sealant around the edge of that and got hold of a new gasket. Had loads of trouble trying to identify where to get a gasket from, all the normal suppliers, the pictures on the website, etc, etc. Couldn't find it, or they had them on there but there was different style. The holes weren't enough on the gasket, so I decided to get a friend to make me a gasket out the right material. I'm just going to install that very shortly. So I've just pushed that gasket onto the sump, give that a minute or so to settle, and then because the gasket's been made up, I just checked it with the bolt for the holes just to make sure the bolt fits in, so it shouldn't be an issue at all. Just checking the gears there, because the other video is out of focus slightly so you couldn't see, but say everything looks good. So I just put another run of silicone on the other side of that gasket. So it shouldn't matter, the gasket's been handmade, but once it's on and in place, it's not something you really want to be taking off all the time, so it's just a double safety measure really. So bolted that back in. I've gone opposite bolts just to bring it down level. They're 11mm and the Haynes manual says 40 Newton meters for the torque. But the biggest thing really, which is a pain in the bum, and in true Vauxhall fashion, is there's 10 bolts on that sump. You can get 9 of them out really easily, but the 10th one that you use a spanner for, which you can probably just see there, because the engine, rear engine mount is in the way. Again, Haynes manual says just unbolt it. Of course you can. Well, you can't get the star drive socket without removing the exhaust. You can't get the star drive on the bolts to remove the engine mount. So unless you're going to do all that, you've got to use a 11mm spanner to do that. Good old Vauxhall. So just tighten them down the specified torque, other than that little one there, which I've had to use an 11mm spanner on to do as tight as I can. As I say, the engine mount is in the way and you can't remove it as far as I know. You can get on that star drive head, you can't get on that one, you can't get on the top, the one just below that, which you might not be able to make out because the exhaust's in the way. So right, let's just fill this up with oil now, see if we can get the right level in there. So you fill the transmission up through the reversing light switch hole, so you've got to remove that. The other thing I noticed is, obviously because I've got it on an axle stand on one side, the engine's not quite level, so I've just jacked it up on the other side and put spirit level on the engine rocker box, just to make sure that I've got it level, because obviously that's going to affect the level in the transmission. You can probably see down there, that's the hole we've got to use. So I've got to get myself a funnel, a bit of flexi pipe, and start pouring away. I got my fresh gear oil there. Okay, clean. Obviously that's clean, it's brand new out the tub, but it just goes to show how dark and manky that original oil was in this car. Let's get that. So I've got my funnel there. Saved my hands, I just got a little bit of wire wrapped around the pipe there just to support that. Obviously that's going into the top of the transmission. So we'll just start that off. Let that go through. So we've got the drain, obviously the level plug's open on the side of the engine, which we'll have to keep an eye on, but could do with warming that oil up a little bit, because it might take a while to fill that up, but that's how I've done it. I've cut a couple of bits of different size pipe there to go on the funnel and then flexi in. Easy peasy. So I've just put in 1.6 litres of oil and it's just started to come out the level plug. So I'll get that back in, tightened up, cleaned up, and we'll just make sure there's no leaks anywhere. So put the level plug back in, cleaned around it just to make sure there's no leaks. Gone underneath and just check the gasket, the bolts under there for any leaks. That level plug is a 13mm. put the reversing light switch back in. That's a 19mm. As I only ended up doing the gearbox oil because I've done the whole drive shaft assembly. As I removed it, there was no oil that come out at all, so that's why I ended up doing this task. I mean, drive shaft went in really easy. Drive shaft's oil seal seems okay. There's no leaks, anything dribbling from there. But perhaps leave that 24 hours. I mean, no rush to get the car back up and running. Put some paper on the floor underneath, and we'll let that settle out overnight. Fingers crossed everything's fixed. Just need to get it off the axle stands then, tighten up the hub nut, put the split pin back through, and hopefully I've sorted out the issue with the drive shaft. Thank you very much for watching. I say I'm doing all this off a phone, so I'll have to apologise for any poor video quality. I'm learning the trade, so to speak, and hopefully getting better each time I do a little video. Thank you very much.